Hello and welcome you all. This is Professor Rajesh Barapate, a book author of 25 plus engineering books. Dear students, this video is prerequisite for basic electrical engineering and basic electronics engineering for first year engineering students. It is common to all branches. What we will be learning in this video, we will be discussing the concept of electromotive force, that is EMF, then concept of current, concept of potential, that is a voltage, then we'll discuss Ohm's law, and last part is the basics related to magnetism. All these points are required as a prerequisite to study these two subjects. Now, we'll consider one example of a conductor. Basically, inside the conductor, there are large number of electrons, but they are randomly oriented. That means the direction of all electrons, or they are not along in a particular direction, they are randomly oriented. Now, if you connect some battery, what is a battery? A good example of a battery is a pencil cell. As I said, initially inside the conductor there are many electrons, but they are randomly oriented. Direction is not fixed. If you apply a battery, battery acts as a source, then due to application of battery, all these electrons inside the conductor will be along one particular direction. This particular thing is related to the concept of electromotive force, that is EMF. What I said, initially inside the conductor, electrons were randomly oriented. To align them in a particular direction, a force is required. So to create a force, I have connected a battery. So battery acts as a force. This is called as external force because battery is not the part of conductor, it is externally connected. So due to application of this external force, all the electrons inside the conductor will be along the same direction. So how to define this? You don't have to mug up the definitions, it's very simple. It is electric force required to move electrons in a particular direction inside a conductor is called as EMF, because that's what we discussed. Now how it happens? See, as shown in this diagram, inside the conductor, the direction of motion of electrons is from RHS to LHS. As far as this battery is concerned, do remember the basic things. The longer terminal of battery is called as positive terminal, whereas shorter terminal is called as negative terminal. If you are talking about the battery, this red arrow indicates the motion of electrons. As we discussed, the conventional current is in opposite direction to the electron current. What is electron current? As shown in this diagram, it is related to motion of electrons from negative terminal of battery towards the positive terminal of battery. So if you want to define electron current, make it simple. How to define it? The flow of electrons from negative to positive terminal of battery, that's what we discussed, from negative to positive terminal of battery, across which conductor is placed, because across this we have placed the conductor. So across which conductor is placed is electron current. But as I said, throughout the subject we will be using conventional current. Conventional current is in opposite direction to that of electron current, which is the current flowing from positive terminal of battery towards the negative terminal of battery, because it is in opposite direction to that of electron current. If you want to define it, how to define it? The current flowing from positive to negative terminal of battery is called as conventional current. Now, as far as the current is concerned, the alternative definition of current is flow of charge per unit time. I will repeat, current is flow of charge per unit time. So how to write the mathematical equation? We know that charge is denoted by notation Q. So Q divided by time, time is denoted by T. Now, again you don't have to mug up all the units and all that things. Charge is basically measured in coulombs. So if I want to write the unit, I will write coulomb per second, because it is related to time and time is measured in second. Normally this coulombs per second is called as amperes. So unit of current is amperes. Next is the concept of potential or concept of voltage. Everyone knows this well-known phenomena. We are considering two charges, charge A and charge B. We are considering charge A positive, charge B negative. That means these two charges are having opposite polarity. If the polarity is opposite, there is force of attraction. Consider the reverse case. Same charges A and B I am considering, but both are having same polarity. Let us say negative polarity. Then there will be force of repulsion. Now, if you want to overcome this force of repulsion, that means if you want to bring these two charges together, even if they are having same polarity, then certain external work done is required. Now, how to define this external work done is called as potential or voltage. What is the basic thing? I am considering two charges which are having same polarity, so there is force of repulsion. I need to bring these two charges together, so I need to apply some external work done. This is called as potential or voltage. How to define it? External work done required to overcome force of repulsion, because there was originally force of repulsion. We need to recover it. So to overcome force of repulsion, in order to bring the charges together, is called as potential or voltage. Mathematically, potential is expressed as work done per unit charge. Now, charge is also denoted by Q. Unit of work done is joules. Unit of charge is coulomb. So, how to generate the unit? The unit is joules per coulomb. A simplified unit which we normally use is volts. So, potential is measured in volts. As I said, from the exam point of view, you don't have to mug up these units. Just do remember this basic equation, that is work done upon charge. Do write the unit of work done, it is joules, then unit of charge, that is coulomb, so it is joules per coulomb, or another name is volts. Okay, so this is the concept of potential. Now, there is one more term related to this potential, which is called as potential difference. What is this concept of potential difference? We'll consider the 2 points, say point A and point B. Now, do remember the basic things. Whenever we say there is a flow of electricity or flow of current, then there must be the potential difference. That means, if I want to say some current is flowing from point A to point B, that means the voltage of point A must be higher than the voltage of point B. So, I have shown the direction of current from point A to point B. Let us make use of simple notations. The voltage or potential of point A is denoted by V suffix A. Voltage of point B is denoted by VB. As I said, this is the potential difference. Difference means there should be minus sign. So this potential difference is denoted by VA minus VB. If you want to make use of a single notation, then I will call this as VAB. So I can write the equation VAB is VA minus VB. In another language, when we write VAB, it is by default VA minus VB, and potential of point A is naturally larger than the potential of point B. This is called as the potential difference or voltage difference. Next part is the concept of Ohm's law. You might have studied it in earlier subjects. Let us brush up this concept. If we are talking about the flow of current, then at constant temperature, this statement of Ohm's law I am talking about, at a constant temperature, the current flowing is directly proportional to voltage, and this current is inversely proportional to resistance. Notation for resistance is R. V stands for voltage, I stands for current. So, combined equation I can write it as I is directly proportional to V upon R. But the value of voltage is adjusted in such a way that this proportionality sign becomes equals to sign. So I is equals to V upon R. This is the basic equation of Ohm's law, which relates current, to the voltage and resistance. Now very simple, whenever you require, suppose you need equation of voltage from this, then very simple thing, you can well write V is equals to I into R. Or if you want equation of resistance, then R can be written as V upon I. And for your information, the unit of resistance is ohm. So this is the concept of Ohm's law, but the major drawback of Ohm's law is, in the statement I have mentioned, at a constant temperature. This is because as the room temperature varies, the current flowing through the conductor also varies. So in such cases, whenever there is a variation in the temperature, Ohm's law is not applicable. The next concept is the concept of magnetism. This is just for your information. Around 2000 years ago, there was a place, Magnesia, in Greece. People found that there are some stones which are capable of attracting certain substances. For example, those stones were capable of attracting iron particles. So this word magnetism is related to Magnesia, which was the place in Greece. Now, to understand the basic concept of magnetism, just discuss few real-time examples related to magnetism. See, the earth is the natural source of magnetism. One interesting thing, honeybees don't have eyes. Still, they can make a motion due to effect of magnetism which they are getting from the earth. Even living organs consist certain crystals of magnetism. Human brain consists of certain crystals of magnets, and so on. Now, the question arises, what's the relation between this magnetism and an electron? See, if we are talking about a single electron, then electron is rotating around the nucleus. This is called as the orbital motion. As well as the electron is spinning around its own axis. This is called as a spin motion. So these two motions, orbital and spin motion, produces magnetism. In case of electron, electron is denoted by Q, and each electron acts as a small magnet which is called as a tiny magnet. Now, consider a magnet. We know that there are two poles in case of a magnet, north pole and south pole. Now, the magnetic lines of force are imaginary lines. They are shown by these dotted lines in the upper portion as well as in the lower portion. There is one word you need to remember. It is called as a magnetic field. Basically, meaning of word field is the region. So, as shown in this diagram, I have shown a few magnetic lines, but there is a range. Beyond certain range, there is no existence of magnetic lines. So this is called as a magnetic field. It is the region in which there is a presence of magnetism. Now how to define it? The region around the magnet in which effect of magnetism can be experienced is called as magnetic field. Very simple. Now, related to this magnetic field, one more term you need to remember, that is a magnetic flux. How to define it? It is total number of lines of force in a magnetic field. Total number of lines of force in a magnetic field is called as magnetic flux. Magnetic flux is denoted by notation phi. This notation is called as notation phi. It represents total number of lines of force. Now, unit of this flux phi is Webers, and 1 Weber is equals to 10 raised to 8 number of force lines. So 1 Weber is equals to 10 raised to 8 force lines. Now, one more term is related to magnetism, that is the strength of this field. It is a common word. Strength indicates how much amount of magnetic flux is present. So the strength of magnetic field is denoted by H, notation big H, and technically it is written as ampere turns per unit length. Now how to generate the unit for magnetic field strength? So unit of ampere, ampere is the unit of current, number of turns are denoted by N, and length you can use a notation L. So if I want to generate the notation, I have written units. If I want to generate the notation, it can be written as I N upon L. N represents number of turns, I represents current, N represents length. The next part related to this is the term magnetic flux density. It is denoted by B, big B notation, capital B. It is similar to any other densities like we say current density and so on. So magnetic flux density, that is B, is defined as flux phi per unit area. Flux phi per unit area. Now, how can we generate the units? So flux is measured in Webers and A is the area. It is not related to amperes. It is related to area. Sometimes instead of making use of notation capital A, it is mentioned as small a. So it is phi by A. A is the area. Its unit is meter square. So unit of magnetic flux density is Weber per meter square. These are the few terms related to magnetism. Dear students, in the today's video, I tried to brush up the terms which are required for subjects like basic electrical engineering and basic electronics engineering, which is common to all branches in first year of engineering. So I'll be making few more videos related to some tough topics in these subjects. So let us meet in some another video. Till then, thank you for watching this video and bye. Thank you very much.